Hey, all. Welcome to the Common Good Podcast, the on the road edition from producer Doug here. Running off the laptop. Well, Samir or Rob, we always talk about some chit chat, and I've got some friends outside this door because we're on vacation in Mexico.
Yeah.
Samir and Rod and Shelly and Vesna. It's gonna be all kinds of background noise going on. So, welcome to the
Yeah, but
jungle.
they're all people I like, so that's
They
fine.
they are. They are. Hey, I'm just going to make sure we are going. So, hey, Rob, how you feeling about this time of year there in Arkansas? You
Yeah.
enjoying
It is
your very fall fine days?
yeah, it has gotten downright chilly the last couple
Hmm.
of days. It is now sweater weather, which is great. Um
As you're
very
sporting.
yes, very windy out today here in Arkansas. But the trees are looking beautiful and the fight with the possums continues.
Oh,
Yeah, possum update. I I did significant work on you know bordering up, put basically building a big beautiful wall that Mexico paid for around the soffit of my house,
okay.
and got one possum like is gone. The other
Oh,
one though remains.
oh,
And last night I did more work to I waited because I gotta wait till like 9:45, 10 o'clock at night for these possums to
I
like,
understand.
leave because they're nocturnal. Because and so the work I did last night was undone. And so I don't know if it was I was trying to block up this hole, and I don't know if the possum was inside and like freaked out and like got out, or if the possum this morning returned and like undid my work to get back in. But I
Did
don't know.
you didn't like screw it shut or something? You just stuff a bunch of stuff in there? Was that the approach?
Yeah, that was the approach.
You
Tools
just
have
filled
not been used quite yet.
you just filled it up with things and thought they wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And this guy's like, oh no, 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 no.
No, we
So
we've been in a soffit before, fella. You might
yeah.
be this might be new to you.
Yeah, yeah. So we,
Uh,
the fight goes on. Though I didn't, I and I've named them Perry and Phil, and it's Phil that I'm fighting with now. Perry, I
hmm,
saw in the morning outside on the trellis in the backyard, so I knew that it had not gotten back in. Um, but
okay.
Phil remains, you know, my opponent.
I mean, you're going full Caddyshack here.
Oh,
You're gonna
totally.
be
Yeah,
you're gonna be.
yeah, yeah.
Have you started a separate Instagram feed or anything for this where people can follow the possum, get a night
It
cam?
should.
Do you have a night cam out there? Do you have a little
No,
ring camera or
no.
something?
Mm-mm.
That would get exciting for a lot of us, I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, I often am sitting out there, enjoying a cigar, and I see them emerge. I take pictures and I film them, and I have,
Just
I they have looked down on me from my own roof many times, and I have looked up at them and said
and
like,
all of a
"Hey,
sudden they're
man,"
like that guy's stuffing
tried to
stuff in our
reason.
hole.
Yeah, I'm like trying to reason with them of like, "Hey, you don't live here," you know. So
Well,
it continues.
fantastic. Well, the window I'm looking out here in Cabo, Mexico, over on the west coast down below Tucson, Arizona, and all that, just gloriously wonderful. By the way, that's why vacation blue hat rather than common good blue hat and puka shells
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
only go on when vacation in Mexico finds itself. So I will.
Yeah.
I'm glad to take the grief from people who make comments when they watch these things about the necklace and the puka shells, but it's a vacation thing. All right, Rob. Hey, let's
So,
get this out of
Doug,
the way quick.
yeah,
How you feeling about the end of the shutdown?
Doug, as you know, I'm a longtime Cleveland Browns fan,
Okay.
Being a Cleveland Browns fan has, being born in Cleveland, Ohio, and growing up there, deeply embedded in my identity. I wish it wasn't so. I
Okay.
really do, but it's there. And as a Cleveland Browns fan over the years, I have witnessed the Cleveland Browns invent new ways to lose football games. I mean, so much so that Cleveland Browns losses are named. Like there is the drive, and you
Oh,
say the drive to a football fan, they know what game you're talking about.
okay.
If you say the fumble, they know what game you're talking about. Both
Okay.
Cleveland Browns losses. This past Sunday, the Cleveland Browns were playing the one-win New York Jets. Um, it was they were down and had stopped the Jets. The Jets had to punt. It was 4th and 4, so the Jets lined up to run some more clock off and try to get the Browns to jump off sides, because if they did, it would be a 5-yard penalty. They'd get a first down. They could win the game instead of punt. Everybody in the stadium knows what is happening.
Yeah.
They're not going to snap the ball. They're not going for it on 4th
Right.
down. This is purely a ploy to try to get the Browns to jump off sides. It is an exercise in futility. It's the kind of thing that happens week after week after week after week in the NFL, and it just is. It's just pro forma. There's no point, because like everybody knows what's happening.
Okay. Guess what?
Browns player jumped off sides.
Of course they did.
Of course they did.
Of course they
Doug, being a Cleveland Browns fan that has
did.
been a
And what
team that
happened?
has
Okay, jumped offside,
oh,
but
they
then what
lost the
happened?
game. And then they lost the game.
Then they got a first down, and then
Yeah.
they
Ran out the clock and the Browns lost the game. Um being a Cleveland Browns fan has taught me a lot about disappointment. It's taught me a lot about grasping defeat from the jaws of victory. It has taught me a lot about wasting momentum. It's taught me a lot about Democratic leadership in Washington, D.C. Democrats were coming off of really big and profound victories this last Tuesday, um, strongly sending a message that the Republican approach on the shutdown, the Republican approach to government in general, was failing and unpopular with the American public, a repudiation of Donald Trump and the Republican leadership in Washington, D.C., with Democrats winning everything from not just, quote unquote, blue states like New Jersey or blue cities like New York City, but winning in Mississippi, winning in Georgia, winning in Pennsylvania. I mean, just racking up victories across the board, scoring points left and right. And then 8 Democratic senators are like, oh, no, 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 no. Let's not have any momentum. Let's not have any political cachet. Let's not have like a sense of things are strongly on our side and now is the time to lean in. No, let's roll over and give the Republicans exactly what they wanted all along. The Republicans shut down the government because they did not want to negotiate in any kind of extension of the subsidies of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. They basically said, trust us, we'll negotiate them later. And Democrats said, no, we don't trust you. And so Republicans shut down the government because they did not want to negotiate on um, healthcare subsidies. In exchange for their votes to reopen the government, 8 Democratic senators have said, hey, how about if after we vote on this, you give us your pinky promise that we're going to be able to negotiate on Affordable Care Act subsidies? Doug, this is exactly what the Republicans wanted, exactly what they asked for. These 8 Democratic senators rolled over and got nothing in the process. Feckless.
Okay, counterpoint. Democrats never had a leverage point. They never had a card to play. You know why? Because they don't control the House, they don't control the Senate, they don't control the presidency. Acting like Democrats had something to not roll over on, I don't understand the argument. I wish they had something that they could use as a bargaining chip. The problem is they didn't. Had they simply voted to approve that first spending bill when it was brought up, all the subsidies for Obamacare would have been gone. Now, at least there's a chance that after public attention, public outcry, public shame, public focus on this issue, Republicans are realizing in their own districts that people are furious about the subsidies going away. And they have said, we will look at it again. And if they don't, you know what Democrats can do? Shut down the government again. I don't know what else people think Democrats could have done. What were they ever going to get? Because as Alex puts in the chat, it's clear that the MAGA and Trump people do not care about any pain caused by the shutdown. And I don't know what I wish Democrats had something. Look, at the failure of Chuck Schumer is monumental. Why he didn't have an immediate alternative, that it was this or that. Go ahead and hunt around and try to find out what Democrats were saying their that was going to be. They didn't have one. So they went into a shutdown, which they should have, to raise awareness, to raise public shame, and to put pressure on Republicans to own the fact that they were cutting subsidies for SNAP, that they were cutting subsidies for healthcare. The American people focused on that for nearly a month of shutdown. That's, look, you could extend it by 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks. And is there really any more pressure, any more? Were Republicans ever going to do anything other than say, okay, we will negotiate it? Now, are they liars? In my experience, yes. Will they renege on that? Possibly. But what did Democrats who hold that this was a big cave, what did they think they were going to get? Like, what would the alternative to not jumping offside on fourth down have been? They were down 37 points. They, there was no winning with 4 seconds left on the clock. They weren't winning. Democrats, I mean, look, Democrats won some very shocking races and some very expected races last Tuesday. A few dozen. Last year's win or last week's win is not what it's going to be a year from now when Democrats take control of the House of Representatives, maybe take control of the Senate. I don't know. It feels like, and I hear a lot of the Democrats that I follow, and certainly members of the House, Speaker Jeffries is saying this, like he wanted something else, but I have looked and listened. I don't hear him saying what he thought they would have gotten. Had they waited another 3 weeks, another 6 weeks, another 9 weeks, I don't know how long. Let SNAP benefits continue to be this rigmarole. Let the government, let TSA continue to collapse. What else did they want? If not to have a promise to negotiate or to say, I mean, I guess the thing they could have argued for was we want all the subsidy for the ACH to be put back in place, which it should have been. But look, the Congress created a problem by creating a healthcare subsidy system that future
Yes.
Congresses could take away. And when the Democrats had control of the House of Representatives, they didn't solve that problem. They kept the subsidies somehow inside of spending bills where this could happen. So I'm not sure what the shutdown could have accomplished. And I've tried looking it up. I've tried listening to people. Um, I, I guess in a you've been served this terrible situation. Was this ever the best they were going to get? It seems to me it is. I don't know. I don't know what else uh, could have been. What else do you like? What do
Yeah.
you think Democrats could have gained other than
Yeah.
the promise from Republicans to negotiate this in a month?
Well, the actual negotiation of it, not the promise of it. Like, let's hammer this out now. Let's figure out what these extensions are going to look like on these subsidies, and rather than on like the fingers crossed that you're going to keep your promise, hope and prayer, let's do the negotiation now and include this in to the agreement. That was what I've always thought the Democratic position was. It Because Republicans have consistently said, "Hey, let's pass this continuing resolution and then we'll negotiate the subsidies." And
Hmm.
Democrats have said, no, we need to negotiate the subsidies now. And these 8 Democrats said, yeah, let's not negotiate them now. Let's negotiate them later. And so the that's what was given away is, the leverage of being able to say no, like, no, we're not gonna. And I hear what you're saying. I completely agree that Democrats have not been in a strong position at all. They do this shutdown is not their fault. Like, it is Republicans control
Yeah.
all of this. They could use the nuclear option and get rid of the filibuster and open up the
Hmm.
government like Trump has said. They could do all of that. And they've chosen not to. But what these 8 Senate Democrats did is adopt the Republican position. And and coming after, like, less than a week after, Democrats like score these big electoral victories where, like, Trump is the next day is meeting with Senate Republicans, really pushing the nuclear option because he's seeing that the shutdown is bad for Republicans
Right.
and bad for, well, and he doesn't care about Republicans,
Yeah.
but bad for him. Like, they
That's for him.
just squandered all of that momentum that, like, that they had gained. The pressure was building not on Democrats. The pressure was building on Republicans. And these 8 Democrats hit the pressure release valve on their Republican colleagues and said, "Here, we're going to bail you out of this.
I
We'll
don't know. I
adopt your position."
I think what happened was, look, I never heard that Republicans were saying, "Oh, we will negotiate the HCH subsidy." They were saying, "We're cutting the subsidy." Democrats got them to negotiate from zero subsidy to whatever the negotiated cut is going to be.
I hear you, but I don't think that's the case. I think the Republican position has been, we'll negotiate this after the continuing
Well,
resolution gets passed.
after the shutdown happened, So they passed a spending bill that removed the subsidies. Democrats could have voted for that. They didn't. They chose to shut the government down instead of voting for that. Then Republicans said, okay, then we'll start negotiating the subsidies. And I think what's happened is Republicans have heard back home that the American people don't want a full cut to these subsidies. I think what this looks like to your average person is Republicans shut the government down, Democrats opened it back up. I think it looks like Republicans created a problem,
Mm,
Democrats fixed it. And what did they
mm,
get? What ultimately was the only thing they were ever going to get. And look, Democrats are in a much better position now when Republicans are like, oh, we're in a losing position here. And we need to be sure. When Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there saying the subsidies have to be returned, when Tom Cotton is out there saying their subsidies have to be returned, when the guy from Josh Hawley from Missouri is writing op-eds in the New York Times saying, seriously, we have to fund SNAP and we have to fund it. To give to let Republicans be the ones to end the shutdown and to take credit for ending the shutdown, I think an argument could be made that if you ask, okay, the teeny percentage, the teeniest percentage of 350 million people in the United States who will ever know any of the details of this shutdown and how it ended,
yeah. Yeah.
of the teeniest fraction of people who are paying any attention to this, a few million probably, 1% maybe of the country, they will say, oh, who ended the shutdown? And if you ask pearl clutching Democrats like us, me and you, puka clutching Democrats, we will say, well, you know who did it? Those 8 Democratic senators. Do you know what sounds like good news to people in America? Democrats ended the shutdown. And they negotiated subsidies back. At the end of the day, it could be that what ends up happening is 60% of subsidies are returned to support Obamacare, and Democrats get credit for making that happen. If they can figure that messaging out, that would be great.
Do you have any confidence that they're going to be able to do that?
Not when they're spending their time right now basically saying that when the House has made the promise to vote against this very bill to reopen the government, they talk about, okay, talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. The one thing now they could say, okay, here's what we've got. We have to start messaging immediately that we care so much. We're going to fight for these subsidies till the end of time. And the government of the United States of America needs to be fully functioning. And Trump and MAGA and Republicans want to destroy the government, and we won't let it happen. That should be their point. Instead, it will be each your own, attack each other, and again tell other Democrats how they're not Democrat enough.
Hmm.
It will be heartbreaking
I
if that happens.
Yeah,
The upside
yeah,
is a year from
I hear
now,
what you're
no
saying.
one's
I
gonna
just
no one's gonna remember
Yeah,
this. This is
yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's you make an interesting and valid point. Um, I hold the perspective I have is that these 8 senators just caved. They didn't get they adopted what was the Republican position, and I don't trust that. And I hear you. I'm hopeful that Republicans have gotten the message that these subsidies are important and SNAP benefits are important. You know, at the same time, these are the same Republicans who passed the one big beautiful bill, which cut SNAP benefits, and so like I don't know.
oh
I
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, look, government shutdowns have never been a good idea.
No,
And if we act
no.
like it's a real leveraging point, I just think it's a miscalculation of how the American people look at shutdowns. From a strategic sort of insider, people like you and I, and how we think about
Yeah,
politics, and all, especially the other more professional pundits than us. Those people, sure, they're thinking about this in a tactical sense. Your average American who doesn't understand why things are closed and why the airport lines and why they feel unsafe getting on an airplane and why their social security payments might be delayed, like they don't think there's some great strategic thing going on and they're going to buckle the Republicans and the Republicans are going to have to negotiate first. And if you get the
Yeah.
same thing out of if you negotiated exactly the same deal right now before you open the government, or if you negotiate exactly the same deal after you open the government, that they would care because leverage was applied. That's where the politicos lose perspective altogether. Like, we made you negotiate before we opened the government, not after. Ha, gotcha. I think the point is return the subsidies. That's it. If that's the point and this gets to that, it's called a win. If they don't get to that, it's a loss, no matter when. But man, the longest government shutdown in American history. And let's not forget, we're still waiting for a congressperson from Arizona to be seated and
Mm-hmm.
become the last vote to be sure that the Epstein files are released. And
Yeah.
then that's the end of Donald Trump, as we've all been promised. Then it will all come collapsing down. Do you think that will
Yeah.
happen? Do you think there's anything that Congress can compel in the release of the Epstein files that's going to do any good to protect this country from its own bad voting action?
Boy, I mean, Doug, you and I have spent 8 years waiting for the thing that's going to bring down Donald Trump. It was, coming down the escalator and
Mhm.
calling immigrants rapists and murderers. Later, it was the Access Hollywood tapes. And we could go through a whole
It was
litany of
Stormy
things.
Daniels. It was
Stormy Daniels.
Ukraine. It was
Yeah.
impeachment.
Yeah.
It
I
was
mean,
the
kids in
chaos of the first
cages.
term.
Yes. It
Hmm,
was
hmm.
this tweet or that tweet. And under normal circumstances, any one of those things and all of those things would have brought down a presidency.
Yeah.
This guy, for some reason,
Teflon
you
Don.
know, Teflon Don. And so, no, I don't hold out
Okay.
any hope that, no,
Here's my
I
glimmer
just,
of hope in this one.
yeah.
There's 20 or 30% of MAGA supporters who are only MAGA supporters because they're convinced that Democrats are the quote unquote pedos, the ones
Mm-hmm.
putting kids at risk. They think the Epstein files are full of the Bill Clintons and the
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hanks and the Oprah Winfreys and and they are with Trump because they think Trump is trying to protect the children from the sex trafficking. Whatever is in those files that is causing the Trump administration to give a deal to Ghislaine Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell,
Sure.
the other criminally convicted partner of Jeffrey Epstein, when they put her in a less maximum security prison after negotiating a conversation with her, something is in there. And whatever is in there could cause a percentage of those people who really are single issue MAGA supporters to lose their mind when when the Wizard of Oz ending is
Yeah.
shown. And so that is it going to be a wholesale loss? Are the Mitch McConnells of the world, are the Lindsey Grahams of the world
Oh,
going to
they'll
finally
give,
say we care?
well,
No, because all they
yeah,
care about
they'll,
is Republicans.
yes. I mean, they've done it before. They've made
Yes.
those speeches before. They'll make
Yeah.
those speeches again. I'm old enough to remember Mitch McConnell on January 6th and in the days after blaming Donald Trump for what happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
and
So
now doesn't.
they'll make those
Yeah.
speeches and it
Be,
will not make
yeah.
one difference.
Look, the people that is impacted by the Epstein files are not going to be this group of MAGA supporters. This group being any Republican is better than any Democrat. That crowd are going to be unshakable no matter what, because at a core level, they fundamentally believe the worst Democrat is better than the worst Republican is better than the best Democrat. Full stop.
Hmm.
Unshakable because they don't care. They just want their party to be in power. It's almost the way I feel about Republicans right now. Right. But there's a bunch of people who are Trump flag waving, never long term Republicans, do not care, countercultural, outside politics crowd that are full MAGA, not full Republican, full MAGA. And that crowd has cared about this Epstein thing for a very long time. And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene's move away from Trump could be fueled by a lot of things. I also think she's like, oh, when this shit comes down, I'm not standing next to that guy. Now, she could be right. She could be wrong. I don't know. But I think there's a bunch of people that are like, just going to step out of the room. They're gonna Gretchen Whitmer out of that picture when they're in the Oval
Yeah.
Office with that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I am getting out of here. Um,
Yeah.
and that's when I think Democrats have to lean in really hard and be ready to
Yeah.
strike. I mean, this
Yeah.
is this is
Yeah.
the thing, and the fact that the Democrats are now saying on Epstein there is a cover up going on by this White House around these files. That's on the money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then will we ever see anything, or is the Justice Department going to find some way to usurp Congress's ability to release all the information?
Yeah.
Quite likely.
Yeah. There were some reports of rumors that um, Republican Congress people were talking about some of the things that they had seen in the Justice Department files that had been shared with them, that were making the rounds last week, which were deeply incriminating things about Donald Trump. Um, and that, that I I want to say a couple things. One, the Epstein files, the crime of pedophilia in general, sex trafficking, is a nonpartisan issue. And if anybody on our team, if Bill Clinton or whoever, like, if they are charged, indicted, convicted, send them away forever. Like, if they are convicted by a jury of their peers for having committed heinous crimes, I don't care what jersey they wear. Send them away forever. Um, and the same is true of Donald Trump. Like, so you say that, like, this is not a partisan issue to
Hmm.
me.
Yep, that's right.
Um,
So, Rob, I think there's not going to be anything in those files that are going to be released to the public that will be prosecutable crimes.
yeah,
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is their crimes against public opinion of Donald Trump.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that
could be.
I think what's in there is embarrassing and scandalous. Is it prosecutable? I'm guessing not, because many prosecutors have been looking at the information in there. And as has been brought up, if there was something in there that was prosecutable, why would the Merrick Garland Justice Department have not taken that seriously, no matter who it was. Like, I don't trust the Pam Bondi Justice Department at all. But Merrick Garland's would have prosecuted a Bill Clinton or would have prosecuted Donald Trump.
I'm not. I'm not so sure. Merrick Garland has the cojones to actually, go after a big prosecution. But
If there were crimes, that's not what's going to be in there. That's never, I think, what was in there. That's not what they're working so hard. Because the one thing Donald Trump is not afraid of is criminal prosecution any longer. Right?
this
It's
is
like,
true.
how long is that going to last? What's he afraid of? Public perception turning against him. That's all he cares about. He could turn prosecutions into, some, like he said, it's all made up,
Fundraising.
it's all phony. Like, look, when Donald Trump came out about the Epstein files and said this is all just made up stuff by Democrats, he knows what's in there and he's already tried to lay the blame on Democrats. That's why I believe there's something in there. And it may not be prosecutable, and it kind of doesn't matter, because
Yeah.
Donald Trump ever going to prison, any former president ever going to prison, would be so bad for this country. I mean, the fact that we've elected the kinds of people who also commit imprisonable crimes is just a shame upon us, a shame upon us as a nation. We are unwilling to bear that shame, completely unwilling to bear that shame. But I think there's something in there, and I think in the next 10 months,
Yeah.
something's going to come out, and it will become part of a big story in election season, now 11 and a half months from now, when uh, control of Congress is starting to come into shape.
Yeah. So Alex asked the question: do you think that there would be any significant loss of support if Trump pardons uh, Ms. Maxwell? Um,
This Lane can't say her name. Can't figure out how to
I don't know.
pronounce that name.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know how to pronounce it.
I don't know what her
I think
name
it's
is.
Giz
I don't know how
Lane.
to
Yeah,
pronounce
I think she's. I
it.
think Alex did spell it right. I still don't know how to say it. I I
Um,
do. Look.
I do too.
I think
I do too.
if he starts doing his Rudy Giuliani thing, which he just did for Giuliani about 2020 election if he starts
Yep.
protecting via the pardon, eh, I mean, just this last week, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson, all the others are all over the fact that Joe Biden used the auto pen to sign petition applications. Just so stupid. And they're making a big deal about it. He doesn't know who he's even pardoning. Other people are pardoning him. And then on 60 Minutes, Trump is asked why he pardoned a cryptocurrency criminal. And he's like, I don't even know who that is. So everyone knows that you pardon people in the middle of your term because you want something from them.
Yeah.
There's no other, like, Donald Trump is not chasing around. He's not calling the International Justice Center and saying, who are the most wrongly convicted people in the federal
Right.
system? Let me get to the
Yes.
bottom of this. It is people he literally doesn't know, but who might own a cryptocurrency exchange business that he can make a bunch of money off of. So
Yes.
if he
Totally.
pardons Ghislaine Maxwell, people are going to be like,
Ghislaine. Ghislaine?
Ghislaine,
I don't. This Alex is giving us
okay, thank you.
pronunciation help, though it's in all caps, which typically, indicates which syllable gets the
She's shouting
emphasis.
at us. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Oh,
So
they
it's
all do.
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine. Well, you
Yeah.
know more about all caps protocol than I do. I thought it was just shouting. You're saying it would be the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's
interesting. That would be
yeah, yeah,
helpful.
yeah. When in pronunciation, the all caps is the emphasis is
Shout.
on that syllable. Uh-huh.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
Yeah,
Ghislaine, Ghislaine
you didn't
Maxwell.
have Greek class, and I mean, hey, this is
There's no
my
capitals in Greek, is there?
shout out to Ben McGrew, my Greek professor, who used to, as he would teach us about emphasis, he would say carpet, 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 um, carpet, and And yeah,
Well, I say hot tub. Is that
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine Maxwell? Um, that is a fun look. I find nothing fun about this person at all. But her parents' choice for that spelling of that name, that's it's creative. Ghislane, and let's go with Ghislaine.
Yeah, yeah.
GH
Let's.
is confusing at the beginning of a word, as is a silent S in the middle. It's but she is a person who has been involved in all kinds of nefarious activities, and again,
A convicted
even
criminal.
yes, and beyond the criminality, something rather disgusting. There are many things that she was a part of that didn't rise to the level of criminal prosecution, but they're disdainable, and Donald Trump is in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And somehow he wants it covered up because or otherwise he would just own it and walk off and be done. But when he's like, "Are you still talking about that?" Like, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, uh, how goes the Rob Ryerse for Congress campaign? Anything,
Yeah.
any insider
So,
track that people should know about?
as always, head to robforcongress.com and smash that donate button. Um, but filing ends tomorrow here in Arkansas, so I will. I already have one primary opponent. There's still the chance that in 4 hours tomorrow that I could get a second one. There is no filing today because of Veterans Day. Um,
Oh, what do you mean 4 hours tomorrow? Like it's only open into
yeah,
between?
it's from like noon to 4 or something. Yeah, that's
Oh,
when somebody could file. Yeah,
you have to physically go
uh,
somewhere in Arkansas to file to
little
run for Congress?
yeah. You have to go to Little Rock, and there's a whole little procedure. And the first
Okay.
day and the last day, there's a little bit of hoopla and fun at the Capitol building, and
Are
so
you going
we
to
get to
send your
split.
private detective over to watch and see if anybody shows up to file? Are you going to have an inside track? Are you going to put eyes on the ground?
Probably not, because I'm
Oh,
really not expecting it. But yeah, so I had a great time last night with the Benton County Democrats. Really wonderful time, and great group of people. Yeah, so we're plugging along here, and
well, what's great about your run and you running for a seat as well as being the political director of Vote Common Good to help other people who are running for their seats win is we get a weekly dose of what goes on when someone runs for Congress from you, which we
yeah,
can't get
I,
from everyone
yeah,
else.
I'll
So
I'll tell you this: the call time, which is what we
okay,
call it when we make fundraising phone calls.
down
Um,
for dollars.
Dialing for dollars. Last week, and I didn't do call time last night because of the Benton County meeting that I had. But last week, people were enthusiastic. More answers to phone calls than I typically get, um, and people's enthusiastic support. Did did get an earful from one gentleman who is not
Oh,
happy with one of my positions, but
oh,
that's okay. Yeah,
he
we're
asked you your position or he knew it going in.
it was one of those. Hey, I'm Robb Ryerse. I'm running for Congress. I was calling to introduce myself, and he said, "Oh, I know who you are."
Oh,
And oh yeah, he was yeah, and he's like he was unhappy with the position I took and a fundraising email that I had sent out, and
oh.
it said
So
that
what?
he was.
How does Rob handle that? Does Rob say, "Hey, thanks so much,
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
all your
totally.
support, goodbye," or do you
No, no, no.
say, "Let's chat"?
Yeah, I said, hey, tell me about
Oh
it,
boy.
and listen carefully to what he said. Thanked him for his feedback, and he was not interested in a counterpoint. He was he but he was. we had a very nice, pleasant conversation. But he was not happy with me,
Did you
which is
ask him for a
okay.
donation at the end anyway? Did you say,
No,
hey,
I
any
did not.
chance you could chip in five for the?
No,
What
no.
is your money ask line? What is your phrase? What is your general
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
How do you do it?
I very much take the assumptive approach, which is
Uh-huh.
an approach that I learned in sales. And so, I'll say to somebody, "Hey, I'm running for Congress, calling to answer any questions you might have, tell you about my campaign to defeat Steve Womack, and to ask for your support and help in doing
Hmm.
this." And typically, as the conversation goes, I will say something like, you understand how much money it takes to run for Congress, and need your help. And then I, kind of sit and wait, and yeah,
Do you say things like, you have more money than I do? Can you help me?
yeah.
Uh, it's sort of built in.
Yeah.
Hey, Observer Game wants to know, Observer wants to know how what are the positions?
The positions that upset
Yeah,
this gentleman.
yeah. What was it? What was it about?
And it was, I mean, it was good feedback. So on October 7th, I had sent out an email
Okay.
about calling evil the Hamas attack on um, Israeli folks, and also calling out the evil of the response of the Israeli government, um,
Okay.
and that led to a genocide and humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Um, and also calling out my opponent Steve Womack's um, support to the tune of $140,000 from APAC, which is an
Hmm.
organization that is supportive of the state of Israel. Um, and so he was he what he expressed was that he was most concerned and offended by the idea that I would fundraise off of a terrorist attack, and that and like and that was fair feedback. That was fair feedback. Um and
So he
he
didn't
he asked me,
disagree with your position per se, disagreed with using that position in a fundraising email.
sure.
No? Okay.
I don't know if he disagreed with my position or not. I tend to think he did. He also indicated he used to be an employee of APAC, which I think probably might have colored things a bit for him.
Hmm.
So, anyways, so it was a fun conversation.
But I think what's instructive for people is that when you're someone running for Congress and your win number is what in your district, meaning for people who don't know, the number that you've already ballparked, you're going to
I
need
don't have
this
I
number of
don't have it
voters to
I
vote
don't
for
have
you.
it memorized. I don't have it
But
memorized.
roundabout, what are we talking?
Uh
5,000 votes? 50,000 votes? 700,000 votes?
I don't know. Give me a
Million
second.
votes?
Let me get to the win number spreadsheet that I have.
Okay. So whatever the
So
number is, but
anyway,
it'll be,
yes,
what are we talking?
it's going to be in like the 80,000 range, I
80,000.
think. Yeah.
So Rob's going to need 80 to 100,000 people to say, I put my vote behind you. There are 80,000 different people that have different priorities that no candidate
Mhm.
can possibly match. I mean, I don't know, take five issues times 80,000 people and
Oh, it's not 80,000. It's 112,084.
112,000. So 100,000 people, 5 positions, 500,000 different positions, and some people disagree with each other. How does someone possibly feel they can match everyone? You
Yeah,
can't. That's not
you
the
can't.
point of electoral
Yes.
representative politics. So for all of us who feel like that candidate doesn't say it the way I want, that just recognize, which is this is very obvious, but sometimes it doesn't feel obvious to people. You can't. You can't. How would you?
Yes,
How
you
would you?
can't.
Would anyone? And would you want them? Would you want them to? So, what's the best you can have? Well, you decide the temperament of the person, the overall opinion, and maybe you have one big issue, and you're like, nope, can't go with you on that one, and wouldn't expect you to change your position because you might lose 3 other voters if you got mine. I don't know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a terribly difficult situation,
Yeah.
and for people that don't know, it used to be that representatives for the House of Representatives had a static number of people that they represented. I feel like it was somewhere in the 75,000 person
Yes.
range.
Proportion. Yeah. What they tried to do is kind of make it proportional to,
Hmm.
um, the number of, that so that one representative represented, the same number
70,000,
of people.
75,000 people, something like this. Then the math started to catch up, and they're like, if we did that, we would have 6,000 people in the House of Representatives if we kept
Yeah.
the number. So they removed add a new House member every time the population gets above a number, and they started this other thing, which has led to gerrymandering and everything else. All that to say, Rob, do you even know how many constituents are currently in the district that you would represent? It's 500,000.
It's yeah, it's less than 1 million, but it's more than 500,000.
Okay, so now it's
Let's say seven
750,000
fifty thousand.
people.
Yeah, yeah, it's ten
And and
times what it was.
and maybe that was the number. I can't remember the exact. Maybe somebody could look it up. What was the number early on with the House of Representatives where they would
It
split
was
off
seventy-five
a
thousand.
new?
You're right. You're right.
Is that true? That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now in a small district, which you have compared to some other districts, it's 10 times that many. This is part of the reason that our government structures struggle to meet their design implications.
Yes.
It's like you have a carton with 12 slots for eggs, and now you're carrying 77 eggs in a carton,
That's
and you're
right.
sticking them in your pocket, and you got your hands, and you're trying to get someone to help you. And it's very difficult. It's
Yeah.
very difficult. So when you meet these candidates who are like Rob or anyone else who are now running against an incumbent who has all the power of incumbency, it's very hard for these folks to think, how do I navigate out of the 700,000 people I'm going to represent, the subset of those who are going to vote anyway, and then split that number of people who are going to vote, some for my opponent and some for me. And I have to get more than my opponent to win so I can represent all these people. And what positions do I hold to represent all these people? It's very difficult. It's very, and this is why some people make the argument that the size of our country is ungovernable with the structure that we have. So if we're now in a situation where the structure is malfitting for the circumstance, it can only be so good, right? The structure can only do so much, and we are at the edge of that in our society. And then you add on to that every state has 2 senators, and Wyoming, those 2 senators represent 400,000 people, and in New York they represent 52 million or whatever it is. It's just crazy. Like, how does that work when
Well,
a senator
and
in
then you've got
Idaho and
citizens.
Wyoming and Montana can kind of meet everybody over the course of a 30-year Senate career?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've got citizens in Washington D.C. and Puerto Rico and other places that have no representation at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Even worse, their representatives that they have assigned to them have no power.
None.
There is someone, but when it comes
Yeah.
time for the big votes or for doing any of the things, they're like, yeah, just the brother-in-law here. I sit out the family discussion. Like, I'll be in the kitchen. Uh, yeah, really bad. The number of people that literally are not represented at the federal level. So
Yeah.
our system is complicated. Let's figure out the best we can. And right now, the best is to get common good candidates, and that means making sure that MAGA uh, politicians and MAGA uh, political leaders have less power than they currently have, which
That's right.
I would have thought 10 years ago was a given. In 2015, I would have thought even if Trump wins by 2026,
This thing
not
will be eradicated. You know.
not they
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
ascending.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, we don't have time for it because I got to go in a minute here, but the Christian nationalism uptick that's happening across the militarization side under Hegseth and
Yeah.
the ICE agents banning prayer from taking place at ICE facilities is the kind of thing that Christian nationalism brings. We've said it all along. The problem with Christian nationalists is not just that it violates the Constitution, but someone has to decide which version of Christianity is the national religion. And when you ban some Christians from voting and you uh, propagate other Christian votes or Christian prayers, then you are not a Christian nationalist country. Even you are a sectarian nation,
Yeah.
and that's what religious nationalism always leads to, and it is unmanageable and
Yeah.
has to be eradicated. And Edward's saying run a candidate in every race. I agree. All right. Anything else, Rob? Anything else? People in the chat?
Oh, here, Doug. Here's let me just read beginning of a news report here.
No.
A provision of the government funding bill that passed the Senate on Monday could give Republican senators a big payday over the government allegedly spying on them. The legislation, expected to become law this week and end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, looks like it would allow aggrieved senators to sue the government for at least $500,000 in statutory damages. The FBI sought phone records from 8 Republican senators in 2023 as a part of its investigation into Donald Trump's effort to subvert the certification of the 2020 loss to Joe Biden, according to documents obtained by Senator Chuck Grassley, who said the government spied on lawmakers. And it goes on.
Okay, so here we go. Now we're just opening up the coffers via the Justice Department to give Trump hundreds of millions of dollars, to give senators stuff. The road this goes down is that every politician will now just get to use their own power to go to their Justice Department, file
Yeah.
lawsuits, have them be ruled in their favor without any due process, and checks will just be cut. That's what this will open. And there's a
Yeah.
percentage of Republicans, the the libertarians, who should be furious
Yeah.
about this. So Rand Paul, now's your moment. Oh, I don't hear
Yeah.
Rand Paul complaining yet. I don't hear Rand Paul not voting for. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't I don't think he voted for the spending bill. I honestly, I think Rand Paul voted against it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think
Yeah.
it was on this?
No. I think
Okay.
no.
I think it's that. I think it's that. You know what else is taking a big cut? The THC edible businesses in
Yeah.
Minnesota. I just read this morning
Yeah. Yeah.
because there was
Yeah.
a loophole in the farm bill that allowed. I mean, the
Yep.
level at which
Hemp.
THC
Hmm.
drinks in the town that I live in the state I live in Minnesota, is through the roof. It's everywhere, and that
Hmm.
spigot's about to get shut off.
Yeah.
And uh, that could cause some senators to not vote for the bill.
Yeah.
But we're in a place with only two
Yeah.
two Democratic senators, so they're already not going to vote for the bill. Sure. All right. Is that
All
it?
right.
We
That's
good?
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we're not going to
everybody.
go another 12 minutes and 40 seconds.
And Ola from Mexico. Which, by the way, if you're an American citizen, you decide to come to Mexico, you can literally just walk in.
Yeah.
It's like there's not even
Hmm.
borders. Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow,
Wait a
that's
minute, there's not a
interesting.
wall that you have to
They just,
go through, get
they just
around?
come in, and you know what they say when you come up to say, "I want to be in your country." Welcome. Huh? That's how it works. You should try that. Okay, bye.